Okay, so imagine this. You're talking about obsession, right? The kind that drives someone across, like, vast oceans, years away from home, all because of one brutal encounter with a legendary creature.
Yeah, it's primal, that kind of focus.
Totally. And that's exactly the world we're diving into today, folks. Herman Melville's Moby Dick, or The Whale.
We're lucky to have Dr. Jasvant Rathod's work here. It really is our guide through this massive book. And it covers, well, pretty much everything. The story, obviously. But also the big ideas Melville is wrestling with. Those characters, man, they stick with you. His writing style, even what that iconic title actually means.
It's funny, isn't it? Most people have heard of Moby Dick, right? It's one of those books.
Yeah.
It's like a true classic. But I think a lot of us are intimidated by it. It's long, it's dense.
It has a reputation.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
So what we're doing today is giving you the essentials, the core of Moby Dick, without getting lost in all the details.
And one thing that jumps out right away is how Rathod points out the main conflict. We start with what seems like a normal whaling trip. But very quickly you realize this is not that. Not for Captain Ahab. This is revenge, pure and simple, against the white whale that took his leg, Moby Dick.
It makes you think, doesn't it? What kind of pain can drive someone like that for years?
Absolutely. And we see all of this through Ishmael. He's new to the ship, the Pequod. He's our narrator. So it's like we're right there with him, taking it all in.
And you know instantly, this is no ordinary fishing trip, especially with Ahab in charge.
Right. Rathod's overview really stresses that. Ahab is a mystery, but so driven. And that wooden leg of his, it's not just an injury, it's like a symbol of everything he's obsessed with. It affects every single choice he makes, changes the whole point of the voyage.
You start off thinking they're there for the oil, which Ishmael, by the way, describes in incredible detail. He gets into the nitty-gritty, the science of it all. But then Ahab's real goal comes out, to find Moby Dick. And it's scary how this personal vendetta turns into, well, madness almost. As the voyage goes on, Ahab basically takes over the entire ship, the whole crew, just for his obsession.
And that, as Rathod lays out, that's what leads to that famous chase. 3 days, man against whale, or maybe even man against nature itself, you could see it that way. And knowing Ahab, the Pequod being destroyed, it feels inevitable.
It's a total disaster. Ahab goes down with the ship, tied to the whale, literally. Most of the crew dies. It's amazing anyone survives.
But Ishmael does, holding on to Queequeg's coffin, which, as Rathod points out, is important because of their friendship and what the coffin symbolizes. And then he's saved by the Rachel, another ship looking for lost people. It ends things, but yeah, tragically.
But there's so much more to Moby Dick than just, like, the adventure. Rathod makes that very clear. Melville's going deep here on some really universal themes.
Oh, yeah. This isn't just a sea story. It's about, I think, what it means to be human, our flaws, what drives us. Look at obsession and revenge. Rathod talks about how Ahab's focus on Moby Dick, it consumes him, blinds him to everything else, even the safety of his crew. It's a warning almost about how seeking revenge, it can destroy you.
Makes you wonder, right? Was Ahab really in control? Or was it fate? All those prophecies, those omens, like it was all going to end badly no matter what. Rathod talks about this fate versus free will. And it's a question that hangs over the whole story.
Yeah, how much control do we really have? The book doesn't give easy answers, and that's part of why it's so powerful. And then there's that fight between man and nature. Moby Dick, he's not just a big whale, he's a force of nature. Ahab trying to beat him. It's like humanity trying to control something way bigger than us.
And is Moby Dick actually evil? Like Ahab believes? Or is he just an animal? And Ahab's hatred, is it really just his own issues projected outwards? Rathod talks about how we decide what's good and evil, which really makes you think.
It does. Makes you look at your own judgments and how we label things we don't understand. And then there's Ishmael, always looking for knowledge, trying to understand the whale, the world. But the book kind of says some truths. We'll never fully grasp them.
Right. Let's talk about the characters, though. They're such a huge part of all this. Rathod breaks them down really well, starting with Ishmael. He's like the outsider.
Yeah.
That first line, call me Ishmael. Iconic. Immediately you know he's different. Thoughtful.
Yeah, he's not just along for the ride. He's watching, thinking about everything, our guide through this crazy journey. And Ahab, Rathod calls him a tragic hero. But you could argue he's a villain too. Depends how you see it. But he's fascinating. This amazing whaler, but twisted by hatred. That wooden leg is a constant reminder of his past, his obsession, and his speeches. So dramatic, like Shakespeare almost.
And Moby Dick. He's more than just a whale, right? Rathod says he's a symbol of nature's power. Maybe even something divine. We don't understand it. He's huge, scarred, powerful. He becomes like a myth.
Exactly. And then you have Starbuck, the first mate. He's the voice of reason. He sees how crazy Ahab is getting, but Ahab won't listen. He represents the sensible way to do things. He cares about actually catching whales, not some crazy revenge quest.
And Queequeg, right. He's got these awesome tattoos. He becomes best friends with Ishmael, which is like a really bright spot in all this darkness. And his coffin, what, ends up being super important.
Totally. And then there's Stubb and Flask, the other mates. Each one adds something different. Stubb is kind of weirdly cheerful about everything. Flask is just like all rough energy. They had some humor, but also, they show how different the crew is, and they're all doomed. And then there's Pip, the young cabin boy. He goes kind of mad after being lost at sea. Really sad. Shows how brutal the ocean can be.
And Melville's writing, it's its own thing, isn't it? Rathod does a good job explaining how unusual it is.
Yeah. He changes things up a lot. He goes from Ishmael just telling the story to these deep thoughts about life, like mini essays.
And then you get these super detailed descriptions of how whaling works, the whales themselves, how the ships work. It's like Melville wants to teach you everything about this world.
It's clear he did his research, and he was out there himself. But then, just when you're in that, he gets super poetic, especially when Ahab talks. Yeah, like Shakespeare. Very dramatic.
And it feels like everything has a deeper meaning. Rathod talks about the symbolism, the whale, the ship, the ocean. They all stand for something bigger.
Exactly. And it's not all gloomy either. There's funny stuff too, especially early on, like when Ishmael first meets Queequeg. It breaks up the darkness.
But yeah, it's a dense book. It can be tough. Those shifts in style,
Yeah.
so much information. But Rathod's right. That's part of what makes it so rewarding.
Now, about that title, Moby Dick, or The Whale. It seems simple, but Rathod explains how meaningful it is.
Right, Moby Dick. It makes the whale an individual, like he's famous. Rathod points out how Moby sounds almost made up, but Dick is so normal. It's weird, but it works.
Yeah, it makes him this mythic figure, but also a real whale. And then the whale. That opens things up. It's not just about Ahab anymore. It's about humanity and nature, big mysteries.
So the title shows both sides of the book, Ahab's revenge, but also these huge questions about our place in the universe.
Exactly. And what influenced all this? Rathod goes into that too. Melville was on a whaling ship himself for years. That's where the detail comes from. It's all so real.
You can tell he wasn't just making stuff up. He knew that life. And there's the Bible, too. Rathod talks about how characters like Ishmael and Ahab, those names are from the Bible, and themes like pride, punishment.
Melville uses those stories, and Shakespeare too, big time, especially in how Ahab speaks.
Yeah, like King Lear or Macbeth, tragic figures.
It's there for sure, the language, the drama. And didn't Melville get inspiration from real shipwrecks too? Rathod mentions the Essex. A whale destroyed it in 1820, just like the Pequod.
It grounds the story in reality, and Melville was friends with Nathaniel Hawthorne. They talked about big ideas, philosophy, good, evil. Rathod thinks that influenced the book too. It was a time of big ideas, for sure. So some facts about the book itself. Rathod says it was published in 1851, and it had different titles. In England, it was just The Whale. In the U.S., it was the whole thing, Moby Dick, or The Whale.
That's interesting. And it wasn't a hit at first. People didn't get it. It was too weird, too long. Melville died before it became famous.
Which is crazy, right? Because it's such a classic now, and it's long. Like 200,000 words, over 135 chapters.
It's a commitment. And the story goes all over. New Bedford, the Pacific. It's a journey. And Moby Dick himself, he was based on a real whale, Moby Dick, an albino whale, famous for attacking ships.
So real life and Melville's imagination came together to make this myth. So why is Moby Dick still so important? Rathod have a good answer for that.
He says it's because it works on so many levels. It's exciting, but also it's about being human, our connection to nature, searching for meaning.
All the themes we talked about. Obsession, fighting against nature, what is truth? People still connect with that today. Rathod says that's why it's timeless, even though it's a tough read.
It's ambitious. It asks big questions. That's what makes it stick with you.
So we hope this has helped you feel a little less intimidated by Moby Dick. You know, the basics, the characters, what it's really about.
Think about those themes. Obsession, how we interact with the world, the search for answers. Do they mean anything to you in your life, your own struggles?
And to leave you with something to think about.
Yeah.
In our world today. What's our Moby Dick? What are we obsessed with? What challenges feel impossible?
It's a good question, and we hope you'll explore Moby Dick further. See what you discover.
We hope this deep dive has given you a way into this amazing book. Until next time.